Hey everybody, I'm Steve with 123 Focus Hypnosis.
And I'm Brooke with Brooke's Innovative Services. Or Go Goddess Academy. They're all encompassed together.
We have so many domain names, it's hard to keep track of what we're doing. So, hey, I want to do something a little different today, Brooke.
Okay.
We talk about hypnosis, we talk about framing sessions and the things we have going on. Let's talk about the theory of the mind, the conscious part and the subconscious part.
Okay.
Tell us about the theory of the mind.
Okay. So, let's pretend there is a sphere. We're going to pretend this sphere is your mind, okay? And the very top, we'll leave a third for your conscious mind. And then the bottom 2/3, we're going to leave for your subconscious mind. And there's a little space in between the two that is like your filter, your critical faculty, that helps you decipher between what's conscious and unconscious. In this bottom portion, at the very, very bottom, we'll leave a little sphere for your survival instinct.
Okay.
Your fight, flight, freeze, fawn response.
Sure.
Right? That's always there. That's always guiding. That's helping you take those steps for survival. So between the ages of 0 to 8, our subconscious mind is filterless.
No filter.
No filter. Our critical faculty is developing, but it's not fully developed. And right around the age of 8, you start to see much more critical thinking taking place. Up until that point, everything somebody tells you can be real. And it's much easier to absorb that, which is where Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus.
Oh, is this where little kids run around? They're always going, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it.
Yeah, because they don't have a reason not to.
Yeah. There's input, there's a sponge, there's output, right?
Right, so. Exactly. So, and you know that kids between those first few years when they're learning words, they'll absorb up to 200 words a day that become part of their language. Yeah. That's like when they're 2 and 3 years old and they're starting to speak.
Wow.
Yeah. But the other interesting part about this is that we can take in up to 80,000 message units or thoughts per day to process.
Per day. 80,000.
Yeah, which is a lot. And I believe that study was done, who was it? One of the, I shouldn't have even tried to tell you because now I've lost their name. Damn it. Anyways.
We'll put it in the notes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Anyways, so they conducted these studies to decide, okay, this is how many thoughts people process per minute, and if that's per minute, this is how many per day, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, so we have
this
number.
That's a technical term.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
We have this number from studies saying that we can absorb and work with 80,000 thoughts per day. After that 80,000 mark, we just kind of zone out. We're done, which is kind of why at the end of the day, we're all just ready to shut off and disappear. Yeah. We need to veg out. We're still taking in information, but we may not be filtering it at that point. And we're just gone. Anyways, so if you think of like all of those major experiences that you have, and I'm going to say major because I don't need to say major. Let's take that back. We're going to say all of those experiences you have when you are from 0 to 8 and you are learning what the world is. You're learning how your parents interact, which is going to teach you how you're going to interact with other adults as an adult. You're learning all of the words and their self-talk, all of their behaviors towards themselves, all of your caretakers. And it may not be your parents, it might be your grandparents, it might be the village around you, it might be school, it might be the kids that you're surrounded by. Those people that are around you the most and are influencing you the most are teaching you who to be in this world. And you don't know that as a child.
So are you going to create habits and patterns in yourself in that time?
Absolutely. And it's all based on survival, right? Like, how am I going to be loved? How am I going to get my needs met? So everything comes from that place of how can I exist in this world and be accepted and loved. So whatever you see other people doing in order to get those things, you're going to do those things to get those things. And that may mean having a fit. If having a fit gets your needs met, you're going to learn how to have a fit for everything you need. If you learn that fawning gets your needs met, then you're going to fawn, which is kind of like being very agreeable, being very sweet, being very available, crossing your own boundaries on a regular basis, having none. And if you are going to learn that running away helps you get your needs met and protect you. So all of these fight, flight, freeze, fawn things really get to show themselves. It's great. It's an awesome coping mechanism.
Oh my gosh.
When you're 8 years old.
When you're 8. And so And it's so funny because I'm over here working on another workshop and building scripts right now. And one of the examples I use is a young child. When they're hungry, what do? They cry. What did you do as a parent when your baby cried? Well, give it a bottle. And dad was even more, give it a bottle, shut that kid up, give it a bottle. So the kid learned, if I cry, they're going to feed me.
Yeah.
All right. So the need is, I'm hungry as an infant. And Pavlov's dog, right? Ring the bell, feed the dog. So we go down that same line. But guess what? That continues, right? So the kid starts to cry. He bumps his head or something. You give him a cookie or a piece of chocolate. So he goes, the subconscious mind now. So she talked about the top third, the critical factor, and the bottom 2/3. Now the subconscious is going, I don't know what he just did, but that feeling that just came up, we need to feed that. And how do we feed that? So we react, right? So the young child reacts, goes on through life. I get hurt in a relationship. I lose my boyfriend, and they always do it in movies. Get a gallon of ice cream, come over, sit with me, we'll eat ice cream. We learn to disguise the pain, the feeling, and everything else with food. So
Feed it. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. I don't know how to deal with my feelings, so I'm going to feed it, and maybe that will help it go away. Which it does, because sugar is extremely addictive and lights off all those pleasure centers of your brain. So momentarily, it does solve that problem.
Momentarily is the key word.
Right. And then you get hit with the guilt and the shame and that ickiness of having your body full of
there's
sugar.
that feeling. Let me get back into this loop and feed it.
Now it's time again. More sugar, more sugar.
All right. So the people that are in my healthy weight, hypnosis for healthy weight, there's the cycle, right? We just went through the entire cycle. The guilt, the shame, feed it. Oh, I'm hurt, feed it. Oh, I'm disappointed, feed it. I'm sad, feed it. And we just keep doing it because it's temporary. Now, if I said, hey, instead of guilt, let's look for a positive way to get out of this. Let's take a drink of water. Let's go for a walk and then check back in 30 minutes and see if I was really hungry or if that feeling meant something else. So if we interrupt that pattern interrupt, where'd that come from, right? Then we can change that. So that's what we do. So continue on, please. Sorry.
So our subconscious has all these knowns and unknowns now based on our associations, based on what we just decided. It's like, oh, this hurts, therefore I need comfort, therefore this is how we do that. We train ourselves how to behave. Well, we'll say the world trains us how to behave from a very early age. And then as adults, we develop that critical faculty more and more as we go. And we decide, hey, we need new patterns. So that's where hypnosis comes in, like we just said.
So for the people that don't know, can you describe critical faculty? And is it critical faculty or critical factor? I hear
or
both.
Critical mind.
Critical mind.
It can be any of those things. It's just your ability to think critically.
Yeah.
That's it. Just to filter information. So you can now say Santa Claus is real, Santa Claus is not real. Food is good for me, food is not good for me.
So okay, so the example is her example. The thought comes in, Santa Claus is real. Well, for a 4-year-old, that kid's going, Santa Claus is real because I remember all the gifts I got last year. Let that in to my subconscious. All right. Now, as we get older, like the 12, 13-year-old kid, my tooth fell out. That's the tooth fairy. I'm not going to let that in my subconscious. I'll just let that one deflect back out. Right. So if it doesn't align with the current belief patterns of whoever you are, it's either going to bypass the critical faculty or critical factor, or you're going to let it into the subconscious, and then you're going to develop a habit out
of it. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and that habit may still be there. Oh, I've lost something, therefore I should be rewarded.
Oh my gosh.
Because you're not thinking about that pattern. You're just thinking, oh, the tooth fairy isn't here. So now we have something new to replace it. So the critical faculty hasn't necessarily caught on to that.
Something new to replace it. Yeah. And she mentioned it early on. And, as we think about that, as a child, those habits and beliefs and everything served a purpose and served us well to protect us.
Survive, yeah.
And we carried those through young adulthood to adulthood, and we're still doing that. But now there's a time when we have to go, hey, that served me well as a child, but as an adult, there's more harm to me than there is any value added. Do you think?
Yeah. Well, looking at this tooth fairy concept, right? I've
Yeah.
lost something, therefore I should be rewarded. Does anybody here have a shopping problem? Does anybody here like to spend money when they're stressed or feeling grief or loss of some kind? Is that one of your go-to mechanisms for getting through stress? Is I'm gonna shop.
Trauma, loss, and yeah.
Yeah. So
all
that's
goes right
like
in
one
there.
of those ways that you can see that play out later on. So now, if that doesn't serve you and you don't want to be spending that money, we need to go back and rewrite that program. That we don't have to reward ourselves for losing things. We can just love ourselves and be compassionate, which is its own reward, but it's a replacement for that behavior.
Yes. So what I like to tell people is, and I was around before computers came around, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. But think of it like a computer. If you bought a computer back when you had a 3.5-inch floppy disk or whatever it was, right? Or your hard drive. The software that's on your computer gets outdated and gets slower and slower and slower. So sometimes we need to update our hardware and our software to make it more compatible with where we are today. And that's your mind.
Yeah.
So,
There's another one I like that's a metaphor similar to that. It's like giving your kid your iPad for a minute and then letting them loose for an hour while you're busy and preoccupied, and then you come back and they've uploaded all of these programs onto your iPad, and you're like, oh hell no.
How did that 5-year-old just upload 12 pieces of software?
Exactly. And that's kind of how we're living. We're living with all of these childhood programs uploaded onto our current system, and we need to go in and get rid of the programs that we don't want.
Clean house.
Clogging up our system. Yeah.
That's a good metaphor.
I like that one too. I stole it from somebody else. The system is questionable. Here, let me hold it.
We keep throwing the mic around.
So yeah, I think that's my concept of theory of the mind. I think I covered all the things.
Theory of the Mind, ladies and gentlemen, by Brooke Southam.
And Steve Supachana.
All right, so stay tuned for our next video. If you like what you see, like and subscribe us, follow our pages. We always have workshops going on all the time. So there's going to be more and more throughout this year.
Yeah. Get ready.
All right. Cheers. We'll see you guys later.